It's the acceptance of people from different backgrounds, different perspectives. It transcends race. You know, it can go into gender. It can go into able-bodiedness. It can go into age. It can go into whether you can see or not. It can go into language barriers.
Having different people at the table and different mindsets at the table. So that's gender diversity, that's racial diversity, and that's diversity of thought.
It allows for that creativity and that opportunity to learn more, not just what you know, but what other people around you are going through.
A variety of differences.
Becoming a part of something different. It's about educating people, opening eyes, expanding horizons, taking people out of the fear of the unknown.
To me, diversity helps you empathize with others who are not like you.
It's truly classified by what can you offer to the population that you're emerging into.
Since there's so many different people in the world, there's so many different ways to be diverse.
Growing up, I was inspired to pursue broadcast journalism because I remember watching the news, and I grew up watching the Spanish news, so I loved how professional the news anchors were. I grew up in this community hearing people tell me, go home, you don't belong here. And it's awful being a teenager and trying to find your way, and to hear people tell you, we don't want your kind here. I was an undocumented student, and so that meant that while I worked hard to pursue an education, it meant that I would not be able to work. So I was facing the anxiety of, you know, seeing my friends and my peers graduate and get the internships or find great jobs. Thunder, feel the thunder, lightning and the thunder, thunder, thunder. I'm going to pursue a career no matter what the obstacles are.
Esta área y crecí como traductora en mi familia y en mi comunidad. Entonces vi mucho la necesidad de poder desenvolverme en ella.
Meeting wonderful people like that is what gave me a new, fresh air to carry on and to fight for my dream, but also fight to help other people understand. Unless you know someone who is a dreamer or an undocumented student, you may never know or may never care.
I just remember, you know, getting naturalized September 28th, 2012. It was kind of just like this, like coming into, I am really a part of this country. Coming to the United States, it was really hard just kind of establishing some kind of legal documentation, because in my Jordanian passport there was a big red stamp on the first page that said, you know, citizen of the Palestinian Gaza Strip, basically no rights. I was like a displaced person. I have a different perspective to offer because you're reading books about Middle Eastern politics and Arab identity. I can speak on behalf of Arab identity, but I can also speak on it from the identity of an American. And especially in journalism, a big reason why I went into it is because this was a platform for me to promote my diversity. You know, I always, when I did my stories, I talked about politics in the Middle East or issues with race or refugee or identity, and I always tried to relate what I cared about most to a story or to a topic and give it to people in a way that they would want to care and learn about it too.
In journalism, for sure, it's all about perspective and learning about someone else's world and their point of view.
The media has a big influence on how people look at other people in other cultures.
Well, if all we did was capture on camera or capture in pictures our white population of students, and that's all we used for advertisement, why would that appeal to a young black man to come here? Why would that appeal to a Hispanic woman to come here?
There's no telling how many times I was growing up where it was so cool to see a person of my same color as either the main character or, you know, play some role.
When you're watching the news and you're listening to this person, you want to feel that they actually can relate or care about the issue that they're talking about.
You need to have someone who knows about LGBT rights. You need to know someone who knows about civil rights and African Americans, also white Americans and Muslim Americans. You need to have someone who knows about all of those different people.
Well, you might have a black person, a white person, an Asian person, you know, somebody in a wheelchair. You might have the rainbow, you know, but if you're still hearing the same cookie cutter background story, is it really diversity? Are you really including different perspectives?
They'll bring stories to the newsroom that are reflective of their communities, and so they'll bring awareness to issues that some people would never know about. Like, I wouldn't know, you know, if I'm, as a black male, I don't know what's going on in the Hispanic community up here as much as a Hispanic person does. But a Hispanic person in the newsroom, they'd bring those stories to light.
I didn't have a role model to look up to in terms of someone who had gone through the program to show me the ropes, so it felt like I had to pave the way.
It's important that media has a representation of people that are underrepresented in the community. It allows for younger children and the younger generation to have an influential person that they can look up to when they're seeing them on TV in a positive light.
You want the full community story, and to do that you need a range of reporters in the newsroom.
It's kind of the role and responsibility of our people who are putting images in the faces of Americans to help us change that.
That's the power of diversity. It gets us from being just stuck in one cookie cutter mindset, and it explores new worlds.
If you're frustrated from what you're seeing in the news, from the lack of diversity, don't complain. Take the chance, step up, and be that person.
Diversity is being invited to the party, and then inclusion is being allowed to do your own dance. Like, do what you do.
I always think it's important that our students take off their lenses and the perspectives that they're so accustomed to and look from other people's perspectives.
A lot of times when people think journalists, what do you think? You know, some people get a negative reaction. Some people think, oh, you get the story wrong. Well, guess what? You could pick up the pen. You could pick up a camera. You could be the journalist.
All of these different people make up that wonderful tapestry that is a university.
I will never see through your lens if I don't take time to hear your story. I will never see through your lens if you don't take time to educate me. It takes us both. It takes me being willing to listen and learn, and you being willing to help me learn.
Thunder, feel the thunder.